So they say Lionel Messi will never match Diego Maradona until he wins a World Cup. Never mind all the goals, trophies and awards he's won then. The maestro has 123 caps for Argentina, but let's take a look at the starting 11 from his first one. A 2-1 win against Hungary in August 2005 when he was sent off after 30 seconds. Steven Gerrard probably saw that and thought, hold my drink. Leo Franco. Let's be honest, Leo Franco was probably himself when he found out he was starting against Hungary. The man had only ever played for his country twice before, and with the World Cup looming, he needed to make an impression. He ended up playing one game for his country at the World Cup, failing to save a single penalty as Germany dumped them out. He spent 5 years at Atletico Madrid, leaving in 2009 once David De Gea became a thing. Galatasaray, Real Zaragoza, San Lorenzo and Huesca were his final port of calls. Lionel Scaloni. You might remember Lionel Scaloni from his time as part of that ferocious Deportivo side from the early 2000s, and then he linked up with Alan Pardew in 2006 for some reason, almost won the FA Cup, before returning to Spain with Racing Santander. He retired in 2015 at Atalanta. Everton fans will know all about them, and he's the current Argentina assistant coach. So I guess he's partially to blame for their horrendous form in qualifying. Roberto Ayala. Roberto Ayala is an Argentina legend. He's played in 3 World Cups and has made a total of 115 international appearances, only bettered by the genetical freak that is Javier Zanetti. The former Valencia defender finally left the club in 2007, signing for Villarreal before pulling an old-fashioned Dietmar Hamann and/or Martin de Michelis by signing for Real Zaragoza 5 minutes later. In February 2010, he signed for Racing Avellaneda on a free transfer before retiring the next year. Gabriel Heinze. Gabriel Heinze was something of a cult hero at Old Trafford at the time of this game. If you need tips on how to needlessly destroy your relationship with the fans, just look at what this man did. In 2007, the left back demanded he be allowed to transfer to not just anyone, but to Liverpool, the club's fiercest rivals. The man had played at Anfield, he'd heard what the fans had said about Gary Neville. Was he stupid? Sir Alex Ferguson obviously refused, and instead of dropping it, Heinze chose to enforce legal action. Oh Gabriel, the case never went anywhere, and he instead had to settle for Real Madrid instead. I can only imagine the sort of abuse he'd have taken if he'd have been forced to live in Manchester for another 6 months. He also took in spells at Marseille, Roma and Newell's Old Boys. He's currently manager of Vélez Sarsfield. Reports on whether he has a life-size poster of Stevie G above his bed are unconfirmed. Juan Pablo Sorin. Remember Juan Pablo Sorin? You forget he's a man with Juventus, Barcelona and PSG on his CV, considering how little he actually played for those big clubs. The former Villarreal defender almost saw the Spaniards reach a Champions League final in 2006, only for countryman Juan Roman Riquelme to choke with a late spot kick against Arsenal. Sorin retired in 2009 at Brazilian club Cruzeiro and now works as an analyst for ESPN Brazil. Andres D'Alessandro. Remember Andres D'Alessandro? He was the kid who was supposed to be the next Messi before Messi was. It never quite happened for him. Within a year, I think we all realised that, when he was getting chucked into the Harry Redknapp bin of bargains, finding himself a teammate of Andy O'Brien and Gary O'Neill at Portsmouth. His career has since taken a few pit stops at Real Zaragoza and San Lorenzo. Remember them, the club Colaccini wouldn't stop banging on about? But for the last 10 years has been on the books of Internazionale, where he's made close to 400 appearances. Lucas Bernardi. Lucas Bernardi was part of the Monaco side which had somehow reached the Champions League final the previous year. This was a defensive midfielder who was touted for big things. It didn't happen, the big move never came. Monaco effectively fell off the face of the earth after that brief European foray. Where have we heard that before? And he slinked off back to Argentina with Newell's Old Boys in 2008 to see out the remaining 6 years of his career. Oh and no, he never did play for his country again. He's currently manager of Godoy Cruz. No, I've never heard of them either. Lucia Gonzales. Lucia Gonzales was tipped for big things back in 2005 and in many ways he lived up to the hype. The Porto midfielder signed for Marseille for 24 million euros in June 2009 before returning to sender 3 years later. He's since taken in spells at Al Rayyan and River Plate, and at the age of 36 is currently at Atletico Paranaense. Maxi Rodrguez. Maxi Rodrguez had a decent career. He spent 5 years with Atletico Madrid, scored 2 hat-tricks in 3 games for Liverpool, that was a strange month, and made over 200 appearances for Newell's Old Boys. Jesus, it seems like half this team played for that club. He'll be remembered for one goal though, one of the greatest ever scored in a World Cup, a chested volley winning strike against Mexico in a round of 16 12 years ago. At the age of 37 he's still kicking, having recently signed for Penarol. Hernan Crespo. The summer of 2005 was a bit of an odd one for Hernan Crespo. I'm surprised the man didn't need counselling after the whole Istanbul fiasco. He headed back to Stamford Bridge for one more season, netted a respectable 1-3 as the club picked up the title, before jetting back to Milan, only this time with Inter. He wound down his career with both Genoa and Parma before hanging up the boots in 2012, and has since tried his hand at management, getting sacked by Serie B club Modena after less than a year. Lisandro Lpez. The man who made way for Lionel Messi, that's about as far as his legacy extends on the international front. Seriously, he has 7 caps and 1 goal to show for himself. That's horrendous for a man with such an impressive record at club level. Lisandro Lpez regularly hit double digits for FC Porto and Lyon, winning 8 league titles across both clubs and firing 82 goals in 166 games for the latter, as the French club replaced Karim Benzema superbly. He retired in 2015 at Internazionale, but he must wonder, how on earth did he not make things work at international level?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.